Welcome to Hello Main Street. I am your host, Monica Sanchez. And here we are talking about thought provoking tips, tricks, and ideas for fellow entrepreneurs just like you. So let's get started. Today, I want to welcome Laura Flores. She is the owner of Ignite Consulting and she does HR extraordinaire. I will let her introduce herself. And our topic today is going to be company culture. So I'm really excited to dive into this. So, Laura, take it away.
All right. Well, I'm Laura, like Monica said, from Ignite Consulting. I have been doing my own business with HR consulting, as well as training and development, some speaking. So just a bunch of things under my wheelhouse. And one of my favorite topics to talk about is company culture, because it seems to be coming up more and more these days about small businesses, solopreneurs. Even solopreneurs can have a culture, and then even larger organizations. And it becomes really clear when you, as a consultant, I get to go into these businesses and into these organizations, and you can really tell when somebody's got their company culture down and when somebody's still working through it, trying to really fine tune that. And there's a huge difference that I'm able to see. And we're going to talk about that today.
Yeah, I love that. So that's great. So here it is. We're talking about company culture. So what is it? Because a solopreneur versus somebody who has a large business, how does that, what are the differences and how can, like myself, who is a solopreneur, how can I get started in that process?
Yeah, I think it's just the way I like to describe it is this is how we roll. Like that's just the way of
I like
describing it.
that.
This how we roll around here. So like for even a solopreneur, when someone's going to do business with you and it's just you already set up a tone, a vibe, these expectations, standard of doing business. It's already kind of set there. Larger
Yeah.
organizations, they do the same thing, but really we all kind of generally go under a guide of a mission, your vision, and your values. If you're a
Okay.
solopreneur, if you're a small business, if you're a larger organization, you typically have those already set. So when you have a mission statement and you have a vision statement, how you want to do business and what your values are, the people that tend to be more successful with their company culture
Mhm.
really align to that and live it. They understand what
Okay.
it means. They understand what it looks like. And those, every once in a while, you run into a company that's just not quite there yet, where they have some beautiful words as their values, some mission and visions that look amazing. And it's just, you don't see that. It's not how they
Yeah.
roll. Like you don't,
Yeah.
the expectation of what they're saying in their vision, mission, and values just doesn't align. And sometimes that
Yeah.
makes it a little hard. And then someone like me or someone else comes in, we're like, all right, we're going to help you because this is
Right.
great. Your mission is awesome. The vision that you have for your company and then the values that you want to emulate. Let's help you get aligned with what that
Sure.
looks like. And that's really what it is.
So I have a question. I know this is a little off topic, but what is, should somebody go back and, look, how often should someone go back and look at like their mission, their vision, their values as they're growing in their own company? Because I know that things morph over time. So what does that look like for somebody?
Yeah, solopreneurs or even larger organizations, you just want to take a look at them on a regular basis. For
Okay.
solopreneurs, especially me, like when you're pretty new, when I started my business, I'm like, this is what we're doing. And a year later, like, wow, we're doing something totally different. Maybe my values are
Yeah.
different. Maybe the mission is different. The vision is different. So you definitely want to take a look at them as you're going through business, as you're growing, and as things are evolving. Even larger organizations, they may take on a different department. They merge with something else and provide a different service or develop a new product. And even smaller businesses where this is what I want to do and this is my focus, and then it just evolves over time. So I would say annually, just take a look, just like you take a
Okay.
look and you reflect back at the end of the year. How did this go? What went well? What didn't? And then you're looking forward on what you want to do. Just take a look. If they still align, then you're good to go. If it's like, man, I should just really adjust because we're doing some different things now. So
Okay.
maybe annually, just taking a quick look to see that they are still what you're striving for.
Yeah, and I love that because there's times when businesses do evolve. I know of somebody who, when she first started out, she only did house cleaning, and now she doesn't do house cleaning at all. So maybe her values or mission has changed a little bit because now she only does commercial. So those types of things, right? That
Yeah.
morphine process that happens when you're growing a business. So, okay, well, great. That helps me out. And then I'm going to ask you, what is your mission, vision, and values?
Thanks, Monica, for putting me on the spot. I should have wrote this down. I don't know if I have it down here because I too have in this last year, I reached my, when was it? Maybe I think this week, my 1 year anniversary
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
being a solopreneur. And it has shifted.
Congratulations.
My mission and vision for what this looks like has shifted. So for me, it's just to empower others to reach their goals, whatever I can
Yeah.
do to help them reach their goals through
Okay.
training, facilitating, and skill building. So there's a lot of things that go with that. I like to do that with a growth mindset, with excellence, and with impact. So those are my values as well. So if it aligns with that, I'm all in. If something sounds like a great idea, but it doesn't really fit in that section,
Right.
I have to say no. And sometimes saying no is hard because it's such a great opportunity, but it's
Yeah.
not aligned with what you're doing. And that's the really
Yeah.
tough part. So for me, that's what it is. It's just helping others, empowering them to reach their goals with the skills that I'm able to give to them. That's
Yeah.
really what it comes down to.
Thank you for sharing that, Laura. And what's funny is I haven't created one. So I thought, oh, you have to wait till you're a lot bigger to have those. So that is going to be a challenge for myself. And I'll have to tell you what mine is as I determine what that looks like for myself and my business. So I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when we're going into our values and things like that, what are like, we talked about expectations and behavior. Is that a part of company culture? Or is that more mission visions or values? What's your thoughts on that?
Kind of both. It's all under the umbrella of company culture, right?
Okay.
So if we have this mission, this vision, and then the values underneath that say this is what we stand for, then there has to be some very clear expectations on what that looks like. And what that looks like is really your behaviors. So if you
Okay.
have a value of respect, that could mean something different to me and it can mean something different to you. So you really, as a
Okay.
company, as a business, have to outline, but what does that look like here? And here,
Mm-hmm.
this is what it looks like. We speak and we engage. We're not on our phones. We don't interrupt others in meetings. Like you really outline what that looks like.
Okay.
We care about other people's feelings. We let other people be heard. We provide a safe space. And then not only do we have those expectations lined out on what that looks like, then as the leaders, we have to model it. So we can't ask for something that we're not willing to give, or we're like,
Yeah.
yeah, we don't gossip around here. And you're like, Monica, did you hear? Like
Yeah.
that totally defeats the purpose of company culture, because then it's not aligning. And that's where companies and businesses get out of alignment is here's these awesome things that you want to be as a company, but then
Yeah.
the expectations of behavior are different. So just even making
Yeah.
sure that we know exactly what that looks like and what that means. And when I go into companies and they say this, and you just see it living and breathing, it's amazing. You can
Wow.
tell the difference between someone who's got their culture down and someone that's still
Okay.
working on it.
Yeah. I love that because, I've been in a lot of organizations, and there's some organizations they have, like you said, they have a great mission statement, great values. And then I thought, oh, they're going to stand behind this. And then they don't. And I'm like, what? So yeah, I understand that part. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, so what else do we think about in company cultures? Because we talked about like, gossiping and stuff like that. Right.
Yeah.
And so again, that's a part of the company culture is to different things to be looking for or recognizing.
Yeah. So even like in the solopreneur, we have to recognize the inner self. And in small businesses and larger organizations, you just have to be really clear about what it looks like. So once you
Okay.
have your mission, your vision, and your values, and you really outlined, this is what we do, and this is what we want to thrive to do, and this is what we
Yeah.
don't do. We don't do this here. And then so
Yeah.
once that's established, as soon as someone's meeting the expectations or showing how they're meeting those values and exceeding them, you celebrate that. You recognize
Yeah.
it, you acknowledge it, and you're like, hey, Monica, she's really kicking ass at this, like
Yeah.
innovation's one of ours. And she just really thought outside the box, and you celebrate it so that we know this is encouraged here. We want this value, and this person's
Okay.
exemplifying it. And on the other side, if it's the value of respect and someone's speaking in a disrespectful manner, immediate shutdown. And
Yeah.
leaders have to have the courage to be able to say like, hey, we don't do that here. kind
Right.
of thing. Like,
Right.
this is how we approach things. This is how we show respect to our teams and to our people and to our customers. So company
Yeah.
culture helps to solidify and become more clear when you celebrate what you want to see and model that, and then when you shut down what it is that's not okay. And I think that's really what's helpful to build that company culture and make it stick, so that you're right, you don't go to somewhere like, oh wow, cool mission and vision and values, and you get there like, oh, this is not what that looks like, what I thought it was. And then you go some places, you're like, this is exactly what you say you are, and
Yeah.
it's very clear.
Yeah. And I love that, Laura. Thank you so much, because there's times, we tend to gravitate towards negativity, right? And can you give me an example? How could we shut that down or turn it around where it's not something like, don't say that, but it's more like, hey, let's think about something else, or the other side, or flip the coin, flip the script. Do you have any suggestions or ideas for stuff like that? Because for me, I'm slower to think about on my feet. I can usually ruminate it a little bit. I'm like, man, I should have said this, it's a little too late. So
Darn,
do
should
you
have
have
said that.
some suggestions?
One thing that works for me is I don't want to make others feel bad, right? Usually
Yeah.
when people avoid confrontation, you don't want others to hurt their feelings, make them feel bad. So sometimes I just put it on me. So I'm like,
Okay.
hey, I'm really trying for myself to live up
Okay.
to the expectation of not gossiping or speaking in a respectful manner or coming across more pleasant and polite. So I'm totally, and then you kind of put it on yourself. So I
Okay.
really don't want to engage. I would love to hear what you're listening to if you have if you need my assistance, but if it's just for, gossiping, I'd rather not. I'm really
Yeah.
working on myself. And so you put it back on you that you're the one doing that, so you're not calling somebody out like, quit gossiping, quit being rude, so it's not
Right.
being said in that way, but you kind of put it back on this way.
Okay. And I like that. I think putting it back on ourselves, right? It's not you, it's me.
Yeah, pretty
I
much
love it.
kind of the same thing,
Yeah.
especially like there's some people you can tell like, hey, I'm not going down this path, or like I'm really trying to do
Yeah.
better at this, or something like that. And some people are like, you're right, but some people are not. So if you already know there's going to be where they're not going to take that feedback, well, you're like, hey, I'm working on me, and one of the
Yeah.
things I'm working on is just really focus on positivity and
Hmm.
only engage in conversation when it has some kind of positive impact, or it's for
Yeah.
problem solving or something like that. Other than that, that's something
Yeah.
I'm working on,
Yeah.
but thanks for understanding, and you kind of just put it back. So there's really nothing they can really say except like,
Right.
really, Laura, what are you working on? That's so weird. I mean, they could judge all that, but you kind of put it on you, and you're not putting it out onto other people. So then hopefully they
Yeah.
can kind of get the gist, like, okay, well, I guess Laura's not one that's going to engage in this, and that shuts down. And the more people do that across company culture,
I like
that's
that.
where company culture happens, because they're like,
Yeah.
oh, I guess they don't do this here.
Yeah, no, and I love that, Laura. Thank you so much, because that really helps. Like for me, like my hard line is, as they've always said, don't talk politics and don't talk religion. And so there's times, especially right now in such a political world that we're in, and elections and so on and so forth, people want to engage, and I'm like, nope. I'm not going there. That's just not a topic I want to even approach, because it
Mhm.
just feels like once you open that Pandora's box, like you can't put the genie back in the bottle. So yeah, that's really
Exactly. And
good. So,
that's a good rule of thumb. Sometimes it's just very simple and direct, but very clear, and just saying, you know what, I choose not to talk about those topics. And
yeah.
it's pretty
Oh,
easy.
I
Like,
like that.
yeah, one of my friends, your friend too, Kara, I think told me no is a complete sentence. So
Oh, I
sometimes you
love
can just be like,
that.
oh, yep, no, I don't engage in those conversations. And it's
Yeah.
totally, I think people have to set the boundaries, and we got to respect them. So yeah, I love that you do that, Monica. We're like, no, not touching that.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like, can't go down that road. Um, and I like what you said about what Kara says is no is a complete sentence. And I think sometimes it's hard I know it's hard for me. So I'm going to speak for myself. I know it's hard for me to give somebody a no, because I'm a people pleaser. I want to help people. And for me to say no and not give an explanation behind why I'm saying no is really difficult. So I love that Kara's like, no, done. And I'm like, I got to get better at that. So kudos to Kara for doing that.
Yes, I'm pretty sure it was her that said because, and I think it's because I'm the same way, like, oh, I can't because, and I got to explain myself, and
Right.
and sometimes we don't need to for our own boundaries, for our
Yeah.
own mental health, for our own, reaching our own goals. Sometimes we have to say no. If we want to
Yeah.
reach our goals, there's a lot of no's that we have to say. And people that are very encouraging, the people that we want to be around, they're going to be like, totally get it. We'll miss you, but totally understand. And the people that don't understand, it can be hard for them to like, why?
Yeah.
you know, why? And you're like, oh my God, I got to explain myself. But yeah, setting those clear boundaries about, I don't do that, or I'm not going to talk
Yeah.
about that, or, oh, no, thank you. And then just kind of
Yes.
leaving it as that. It is kind of a little awkward because you're right. That's not my biggest strength, saying no and just like not following up with explanations or anything.
Yeah.
But I love and I encourage when other people do that. I'm like, good for you. Set that boundary.
Yeah, and that's wonderful. Again, and that can be a part of your company culture, right? As far as that part is concerned. Yeah, because I
Oh,
mean, there's so many
exactly.
projects that are there, and I think I'm just going to reiterate a little bit more on it. Is that, for me, like I'm always like, yes, let's do the project. But now I've brought myself to like, let me sleep on that. Let me think about it a little bit more, and give myself some time, because I feel like I always have to like Johnny on the spot and say yes to everything, and I'm just trying to pare that back. That's my new goal this year.
Yeah, that's a good goal because sometimes we're like, yes, we can do everything. And then we're doing everything like, oh my God, this is so stressful. So
Yeah.
yeah, definitely got to give ourselves some boundaries.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Laura, on this topic, so what is one takeaway that you would want a business owner, entrepreneur to know or to think about?
I think the biggest thing, because when they call me in for training or for consulting, it's usually something's gone awry. And
Yeah.
I need communication, I need leadership training, I need emotional intelligence. And I get in there and I'm really asking some questions, kind of interviewing employees. And it really comes down to it's unclear to them. So the one
Oh,
takeaway I would tell even solopreneurs and large organizations is be really clear about how you roll at your company,
mm,
what's okay and what's not okay. Make sure you're modeling it, that you're actually doing it, you're leading by example, and then celebrating when it happens and not. So just making sure that you know exactly what you want in your company and you're
yeah.
addressing it right away in a good way, like, yay, this is what we want. Monica's kicking
Yeah.
ass. Yay. Or like, no, in my office. We don't do that here, and being
Right.
really clear. And that's really going to solidify that. So making sure that whatever you want your company to be, you're leading by example and you're addressing it pretty quickly.
That's great. I love that. Thank you so much. And if you're interested, Laura Flores' information is right down below, right here. Laura Flores, Ignite Consulting. She's amazing. She does presentations. She is available to talk with you HR. If you're starting out, she can even help you with those areas. And then if it's not something that's in her wheelhouse, she has great connections for you to
Yes, I
connect
do.
you there. So that would be awesome. If you haven't done so already, please like and subscribe to this podcast. And it helps me to share out information. And if you'd love to connect with me, I am right here. I am on LinkedIn. That's where you can find me, Monica Sanchez, B2B. Thank you so much. And as you know, we are better together. Thank you. Thank you, Laura, for your time.
Yes, thanks for having me.